What's going on, guys? All Blitzel here, and I'm back again for another video. Today I have Orbeetle Weezing Roxanne Control. This was used by Sander Wojcik at the OCIC. He unfortunately just went 5-2-2 with this deck, did not quite make day 2. But, you know, as you guys probably know by now, I'm a huge fan of Control, so I had to give this one a try. I ended up running it in the 1K tournament that was on Limitless. I'm recording it, the day I was recording it, but you'll see this on Saturday morning, so... I ended up going 3-3, definitely underperformed, a little disappointed in that. This deck is definitely still, I think, a little rough around the edges. My losses were round 1 against me, which should be an auto win. I drew really badly. And then I lost again round 4 to a loss in box because I drew a little slowly, and also my opponent drew very well, that they didn't have to loss on a single switching card, was able to efficiently use their energies, and then round 3 I drew past the first 2 turns of the game. So this deck definitely is on the inconsistent side. I think like the lock is so strong, like once you establish that Weezing Orbeetle lock, like Roxanne, it's very tough for your opponent to break it. I feel like that's a huge strength, but I still think that there's probably some work to be done here. While the Jirachi felt like good in spots, it's kind of weak. It's definitely a card that your opponent can exploit and get around fairly easily. So that might be on the chopping block. I'm still unsure on Gloria and Arezu. But I made 2 changes to Sander's list. I cut the Gardevoir for Gallade. Definitely put the Gardevoir back in. The Gallade was very bad, and the Gardevoir would have been a lot better the whole tournament. And I took out a card destruction of Veltal for a lost vacuum. Definitely keep the vacuum. I don't think card destruction is very worthwhile. This looks like a pile of cards, but I'll go row by row and explain everything. And if you watch the gameplay, things will definitely be a lot more clear. I have 2 of my wins, one against Lost Box and one of them against Zoroark VSTAR. The Zoroark VSTAR is just sort of your template into Mew. It should kind of showcase how that matchup would play out. I know Zoroark's not a terribly relevant deck, but we're playing one of the 60 HP Ralts because that memory skip attack sort of serves as a torment on Morpeko, so your opponent can't just go like solo one Pokemon. You can force them to set up multiple attackers, which plays into our win condition, and that's why one of the reasons that led me to put in a Lost Vacuum, because against RC Duraludon, which is normally a pretty impossible matchup, like if they go solo Duraludon, at least we can vacuum off the Parasol to potentially use Radiant Jirachi, or use that memory skip. We have the Refinement Gardevoir. That's pretty much the draw engine of the deck. Helps us get through our deck, get to our cards. As I said, that Gardevoir, the Gallade should be a Gardevoir in every way. When we establish our Eldegoss loop at the end of the game, we just want to have Gardevoir to draw 2 cards. Like, we don't want him to discard cards. Like, the thought behind the Gallade was that it'd be a little more resilient into Judge and Marnie, but like it's such a hard card to time correctly, and if you drop it down without using Buddy Catch, you are just losing a turn of refinement. So the Gallade should definitely be Gardevoir. We have Gourmand as Snorlax. He always seems to stick around in control. It'll definitely be missed to the rotation, but that Gourmand is super strong, so let's get going. We're playing a 2-2 Weezing, which is definitely a newcomer to control. Our game plan here is we're going to try to... We're going to just use our first 3 turns to set up. Our opponent will take 3 prizes, then we will go Weezing, a Cross Switcher to gust up a useless Pokemon, Galar Mine, Roxanne, and then use that Orbeetle, whose Bug Radar ability lets us look at the top 3 cards of our opponent's deck, and then put them back in any order. Okay, so the only top 3 bad cards, then we can loot. We can put the Hiding Energy on the Weezing. We're never going to use Severe Poison, and we'll retreat into Eldegoss, and then just float up and spam Misfortune Sisters until our opponent decks out. So, we obviously cannot do that against Mew, so we have to have an alternate win condition there. So that's why we're playing the Shadow Rider Psychic package. Not only does Psychic help with Memory Skip, but also we can use that Shadow Mist attack, and then between our Fan of Waves and Crushing Hammer, we can make it so Mew can never attack us. 1 Manaphy, of course, to protect our bench. 2 Roxanne, because it's integral to our loop. Peonia, because we have lots of key cards that can be prized. Misfortune Sisters for the aforementioned loop. Gloria and Arezu, I'm definitely still not sold on. I didn't really get a whole lot of value through them in the games I tested or in my tournament matches, so I definitely think those could be cut. I'd be intrigued to actually talk to Sander and see what he has to say. I didn't he didn't really make a super long post on Twitter about the deck. So we have one boss which can put Pokemon in, just drop stuff in the active spot. Cyllene helps us have more resources like Galar Mine, Ordinary Rod, Parasol. 4 level balls, 2 quick balls to find our guys. Fan of Waves, which can reset energies on like Lugia and Mew, so we can hopefully just lock them out of the game with our ability locker Calyrex. 2 Cross Switchers, so we have a item-based Gust card that we can combine with Roxanne. The Yell Horn, which can force our opponent to burn switches early. 1 Crushing Hammer to get rid of basic energies. I'm still not sold on the value of this. Like, 1 Crushing Hammer, like, you have to find it in the exact situation, which can sometimes be difficult. And you also have to hit heads on it, so Crushing Hammer is probably going to get cut. We have 1 Rope, 1 Scoop Up Net for a couple switching cards. We have a Rare Candy to get into our Orbeetle. 1 Lost Vacuum, talked about that a little bit already. 1 Ordinary Rod, because we sometimes have to discard some of our, all Pokemon lines are very thin, so we'll have to recover those. We have to have the Big Parasol, because Sableye is extremely annoying. We don't want it to pick off our Blipbug. 1 for our Seal Stone to use on our Pidgeot and Eldegoss. I forgot to mention Pidgeot. Pidgeot's only in there so we never deck out. We can use its ability to shuffle it back into the deck every single turn. Galar Mine to make it hard for opponent to retreat. 4 Captures to find all our guys. Hiding for the free retreat on the Weezing, and then Psychic for the Calyrex, and Double Turbo for the Eldegoss. I really just want more consistency in this deck. I think I definitely had some bad variance in the tournament. I hit only 1 Mew, which I bricked against, and then I hit no Lugias, which I think should be a pretty favorable matchup. So, things definitely didn't go my way. I didn't play flawlessly by any means, but that's okay. You win some, you lose some. It's just, best of 1. It's where sometimes you just get those bad hands, which nothing you really can do about them. So as long as you're playing to the best of your ability, then you can't really hang your head about anything. So, as I mentioned, these are going to be 2 tournament battles in the video. We sped up a little more than usual because they were definitely longer games. So thank you for watching this kind of content. It's definitely been playing a lot of Control lately. So thank you for all the support. Like and subscribe if you like this kind of content and enjoy the battles. All right, getting into our first game here. We're losing the coin flip, as I probably mentioned in the intro. This was my round 3 game. The first round I faced Mew. In the second round I faced Kira and Palkia. The Mew should be a pretty favorable matchup. I had a great opening hand. I Gormandized. I had like a couple Kirlias. I had the Calyrex in. I think I had 4 Seal Stones as well, so I was really set up well to be able to do the Calyrex play. My opponent, on their second turn, slapped down a Judge. They went first, so they slapped down a Judge, and I drew, I think I had like Quick Ball, Eldegoss, and then I had like a Hiding Energy and a Capture Energy. Like, it was horrible. So then I had a lot of time to set up, but could not find the Calyrex play ever, so that was unfortunate. And then the second round, we got the lock off against Kira and Palkia, and there wasn't a whole lot that they could do, so we're against Lost Box this round, so them lost sending a Scoop Net is always nice, so we're definitely going to try to establish a couple Ralts early. Put down the Galar Mine. I will Arezu for a double Kirlia. I think I could have held off and done this on the next turn. I could have got an extra card. I checked my prizes there. I don't think anything too major was prized. My brain's definitely fried. I've played so much Control today. Like, I've had so many rounds. This deck's definitely very hard to play, so sorry if the commentary is sort of lacking for this one. I wanted to get it out because I didn't have an upload for tomorrow, and so yeah, I'm tired, but we move on. So the switch card into the face, so we're definitely hoping that my opponent gets like some tough early flower selectings where they have to choose between like two switching cards, or switching card plus energy, or things that destroy useful resources. They hit a Capture Energy, but we got that early Galar Mine, and my opponent was only playing, I think they're playing 1 Vacuum, 1 Training Court. So our stadiums are pretty safe. Unfortunately, I do have to Refinement out the Eldegoss. This deck has like so many cards you want to like kind of combo together, so it's sometimes your hands can be pretty clunky. I'm gonna match the Koffing and the hiding energy. I don't feel too threatened. Like, my opponent has not really got to a very quick start to where like I'm really threatened by a Lost Mine. I would rather that have been a Blipbug for sure. But if I remember correctly, I did have Rare Candy prize this game, so benching the Blipbug wouldn't have been terribly relevant. So my opponents should be able to get some sort of Mirage Gate attack. At least we have the Manaphy down, so our opponent can't just Shuriken Snipe both of our Kirlias. So that is 7-8. So a little bit of a reach to Lost Mine. Would take 3 switching cards or have them in a stadium bump. Haven't spent too many of those, so Dragonite V hitting the board. Capture Energy is not very useful on the Dragonite V because that second attack, that Dragon Gale, is Water Rock Lightning. So that capture, I feel like probably should have gone somewhere else, potentially to the Radiant Greninja, where it could at least see some sort of use. So they fell the capture. So what was the point of that? It's definitely a misplay by my opponent because it doesn't help the Dragonite's attack cost at all, and it didn't grab anything. So definitely that should have gone somewhere else where it could have mattered. Always love seeing our opponent spend ordinary rods early. There's a Mirage Gate. And I think they just didn't realize Dragonite's attack cost. So that's a bit unfortunate for them, but reading your cards can sometimes make you play just a little bit better. At least that's my own personal opinion. So we top deck the Vacuum. That's not very useful, so we'll refine the Fan of Waves. Level Ball to thin out Radiant Jirachi. Don't need it. I'm just going to refine the Radiant Jirachi. We top deck the Weezing, or we hit the Weezing off of the thing. Yeah, there we did prize Rare Candy, so I'm going to put those 3 into Lost Zone. Oh, some prize cards, I'm sorry. I told you my brain was utterly fried, so I kind of want to put a little pressure on my opponent, but I also want to make it hard for them to potentially Lost Mine us. They would have to have Colress raw in hand, and they do have a Training Court, which is pretty nice for them. They've already spent 2 Colresses, so I don't mind if the Dragon Gale takes out this Weezing. I just wanted to basically have a safe turn to drop Blipbug. And also I can sort of force my opponent into action instead of having them sit around until they're ready to. So that was like kind of my thought process behind it. I think that's fine. They're committing a ton of energies to this Dragonite, and now we would love seeing the Training Court go before we Roxanne. So that's 1 less card, and they use the boss on the Blipbug, which makes me feel very good because now they're not. I like keeping my Weezing around, and Blipbug's a little fragile, so I sort of prefer that over the alternative because I can like essentially drop a Parasol and make my Blipbug last a little last longer, get through Lost Mine. Now they have no Gust left, and my Parasol was not playing Escape Rope. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to capture for the Pidgeot, start Alchemy for the Galar Mine, because I milled my opponent's Lost Vacuum with the Misfortune Sisters, so they have no way to bump this Galar Mine. They already played their boss, so I don't need to use Vanishing Wings even. I have Rod Quick Ball to find a Blipbug on my next turn. I pretty much just need to find Big Parasol. And with a 19 card deck, that's definitely pretty doable. Yes, I don't need to worry about using Vanishing Wings, which is great. So now my opponent, I think they're playing 3 switch cards if I remember correctly, so they have to spend their last cards just to move this Dragonite, or hard retreat 5 energies off, which would be a huge commitment. So there is a conceal cards. I didn't want to just drop the Parasol inactive because they just knock it out, so and if I'm running Parasol, I really want to combine that with dropping down Blipbug, so I will refine the Kirlia. Crushing is actually pretty solid here. Assuming it heads, I will refine that. Okay, so I'm going to Crushing Hammer. It hits heads. I was trashing it in the intro, but oh well. I guess that's how you get more out of your cards. You just trash them, so no, I don't. So we will capture down the Blipbug. I'm going to retreat into the Manaphy and pass. I'm sort of like trying to like bait my opponent, like psychologically, like be like, hey, take this Manaphy. It's good to use your Radiant Greninja. And also, I don't know if they want to commit 5 energies to retreat, and we discarded 1 Psychic, so sort of might be tough for my opponent to justify retreating here. I wanted to get this Blipbug down. They have 0 cards in deck, so they have to play an Ordinary Rod or some sort of recovery. And I always like seeing them spending those rods, at least just to keep their deck around, instead of actually getting like Mirage Gate mileage out of the cards that they put back in. So they Hisuian fail. I'm hoping they just take this Dragon Gale knockout. They just be careful using Dragon Gale because they can start knocking out their own Pokemon. So that sort of creates a weird dynamic where it's kind of stuck because the retreat cost is so high and then they don't want to be using it every turn. So they bench a Cramorant. Sorry if that discard pile is annoying. I just kept checking my cards' resources because it was kind of driving me crazy. It's like, oh, how many switch cards they have left. So I apologize if that is annoying. So they do actually hard retreat, which I think is definitely a misplay. And then they just spit. So then I can Rare Candy my guy. I can capture energy on the Orbeetle, get down, back up Koffing, Roxanne. So this Cramorant can attack. It has no ability. And the reason why I Roxanne, I know my opponent's deck size was super duper low. But they could have switching cards in hand to immediately respond back, and now I can use like my Orbeetle for give them Choice Bell off the top, or give them just useless cards. It's a lot less likely that they just have the absolute nuts in hand and can just immediately punish me. So could have been a little excessive because they were down 2 rods, but now I can just go for the Misfortune Sisters loop like I mentioned earlier. I can give them Mirage Gate and Switch card or 2 very nice cards here. And I can Bug Radar, put that Zoroark on top of another useless top deck. So now it's going to be basically impossible for my opponent to win. I can just give them their Bird Keeper as their last card in deck, and they're just going to never be able to win the game. So this kind of gives me old vibes of like Pidgeotto control. If any of you guys remember that deck from back in the day, where you would gust something up, use Chip Ice Axe, and just make sure that they never could draw out of it. That's kind of what this reminds me of, and it's quite satisfying to pull this off. Like, I really enjoyed this, so I really want to make this deck work because it's one of the most fun experiences I've had playing Pokemon cards in a while. Like, I've been really busy making videos and this, but this I had a lot of fun playing in this tournament, even though I didn't do as good as I had hoped. Always a good time to play Control, and we milled Energy Recycler, so now my opponent's energies are finite, so that's always great. Tools Bug Radar, top decking Raihan's completely useless, so that's good. And now my opponent, this is gonna be a slow, painful death for my opponent because they don't have any way to get out of this. And unfortunately, this isn't a tournament setting, so to where my opponent, there's a round timer, so my opponent can slow play and play for the tie because there's no way that they win this game. So like I was telling my opponent in the Limitless chat, like, dude, please don't slow play. You don't have a win condition. Like, I wasn't telling them to scoop to me, and never do that. I was just saying, because like sometimes people will like justify like slow playing as, oh, I had a way I could win. No, there's no way that you can win. I'm not telling them to scoop. I'm telling them that, hey, you know no way to win, so please don't play slowly. We get that you have a good deck. That's always a great sign. So we'll Bug Radar and keep giving them energies that are complete worse. I don't know why they weren't just attaching to the active and going for hard retreat. Like, I know that they have their energies are extremely limited. They hard retreat the Dragonite. I think that play lost them the game. I don't think they were gonna win regardless, but that play was definitely very little reward for the commitment that was. So. See, my opponent's just like taking so much time doing nothing, so I was like, really stressed out because like 3 minutes left on the match timer. They're just doing pointless actions like attaching Choice Bell. Like, the energy is a valid action that could help them potentially win the game, but like attaching the Choice Bell does nothing. So just, if you're playing online, just, or even in real life, don't be that guy and slow play. Just if your opponent, like, I'm in a tournament, IRL tournament, it's a little different. I'm not saying that slow playing is okay, but just like online, when it's a more like laid back environment, if your opponent's gonna win the game, just, I don't know, just give it to him. Like, just kind of, like, drawing things out like this just doesn't accomplish anything. And like, why do you have 4 minutes of timer left of me? When I'm the only one who's been making any sort of significant action for the last like 11 turns. So finally my opponent gives in, and another you have a good deck, so we know we got him good. On to the next game here. We are against Hisuian Zoroark. This was the following round. So this is going to be, we're going to go for that Shadow Rider Calyrex game plan. We see the Shadow Rider, we see the Psychic. So we are definitely in a pretty good spot. We got on double Ralts in the first turn. We have Gloria, we have Level Ball to find Kirlia. So this is off to a great start, but unfortunately, Marnie hits. Putting the balloon on the bench once are kind of interesting. But we like seeing the balloon get committed early. This matchup is actually tougher than Mew because they can do 30 damage with no energies with Void Return, so I have to gust something else up and then start using Shadow Mist. I hit a Kirlia and then I can Level Ball for another one. I will refine the Weezing. I will refine the Roxanne. I don't necessarily need to Gourmandize. I would be okay with my opponent just taking out this Jirachi. I do think it's pretty unlikely that my opponent has attached Zoroark VSTAR Gust, like Gabe Jabog, Pokemon, Damage Pump, but that's a pretty tall task for my opponent with just Phantom Star. So yeah, that research was not the right play for my opponent. Getting rid of a Serena and a boss, so little reward there for the, like, you know you're gonna need those cards in like a war of attrition that this game's going to be. I know that no one's really gonna know this matchup very well. At least it's like the second day this deck has been a known quantity, so can't really fault your opponent too much. But they've got the Radiant Alakazam, which is gonna be kind of annoying because they can mess with my damage counters. So they can hit into something and then move it to like a Kirlia and knock it out, which is kind of irritating. But they get the Parasol on the Zoroark V. They Netherworld Gate down a Gengar, and I'll take this knockout on my Jirachi, which I'm okay with. I can see the 3 cards from that, from my ability, Entrusted Wishes. So I will grab. I already have Quick Ball for the Calyrex, so I'll get Forest Sealstone, Psychic, and I think I will grab the Rope, just so I can move around and get that, get the Shadow Mist going, and I can. The reason I grabbed Forest Sealstone over an actual like physical like boss or something is that Forest Sealstone means that I could refinement into one of those cards, and then I'm like not grabbing like a specific card that I could draw into. Forest Sealstone can be any card, so we have our opponent basically locked out of the game. I should have definitely used the escape rope over the Scoop Up Net, because going rope boss like that, now if my opponent gusts up a Kirlia or something, and I have to play rope to get out of it, then my opponent can send up like that Zoroark V and start using that Void Return. So a bit annoying, definitely a misplay on my part. Blue keeps swinging with Shadow Mist. I don't want to knock them out, so definitely committing a double turbo onto this Calyrex so I don't do any more damage could be worthwhile. I'll use Gloria and just fail it. I could have put down the Koffing. Probably should have put down Koffing in case that's the boss's orders. So yeah, that's kind of. So I choose to go for Cyllene instead of just taking the given with Eldegoss. Unfortunately, that backfires because it double tails. I still think it was the right play, because I could have just Eldegossed for a boss and then around rope boss again, but then I can get Serena gusted. So unfortunately, I mean, yes, the Eldegoss play in hindsight was technically better, but I felt like my odds were, I was going to take my chances with the Cyllene, which it didn't work, but we're still okay. So our opponent has a chance. They get the Zoroark back in active spot, and I'm still locking out their energy, so they're stuck doing 30 a turn. So it's going to be a battle of like tiny paper cuts here. So there's a Void Return. What's annoying is like they're doing these 30 like pokes with the Zoroark, and they can move him onto a Kirlia with that stupid Radiant Alakazam. So I will Level Ball. I'll get Koffing down. I'll put the hiding on it so I can have a pivot Once again, Gallade hits the discard pile. That was not a very worthwhile card at all to add to the deck. So definitely put in the Gardevoir. Like, as you can see, that Lost Box game, I would rather just had, and I make a misplay there. I put the Galar Mine in the prizes. I definitely should have put that Ralts in the prizes. I might need that Galar Mine later, because Zoroark might get broken. Because I'm kind of in a pickle here, because I can. Okay, so Misfortune Sister's out 2 cards, but like I'm losing this war every single time with them doing 30 and myself doing 10. So I have to do so. I have to Gust. So my other Cross Switcher's prized and my other Peony's prized, and I took neither off that first Peonia. So very unfortunate, but I usually don't take the top cards from the Peonia first, but I didn't remember if I played one or not, so I took the top ones. So always punished, but that's all right. So we're just gonna go for Shadow Mist. I still have time. I have a couple turns yet, but I think I'm going to break the lock here. I'm going to Boss's Orders, and I will Pidgeot itself back into the deck, and then we'll Shadow Mist, and my opponent can use Serena and potentially break my lock. But we do have the double turbo to put the Eldegoss back into the deck and sort of reset things. That's the second Serena, second boss. They have 1 Serena left. Unfortunately, I have no way to move this Eldegoss, so I do have Raw Quick Ball, so even if they do Gust my Calyrex, I still can recover it. And having this pivot with the Koffing does mean that even if my opponent Gusts that Calyrex, I still can free retreat, get back. So my opponent uses that Roxanne to put back in the Pidgeot Bog. Definitely should have used the Roxanne after the retreat there. Definitely a misplay from my opponent. So they'll use that Void Return. So I'm in a weird spot though, because I'm like back where I was before. Because I can go for a boss, but then I'm just sort of stuck. And this is where I Cyllene back Galar Mine, because I was dumb and put it into the prize cards, so we kind of have to reset here. Luckily, we got the lock off early enough that we have a little wiggle room for error like this, but we did get the Yell Horn off, so it might force our opponent to flip some coins, and now we're sort of reset a little bit. Like now I can Eldegoss for Peonia, and then I'll have mine Cross Switchers, and then I can Eldegoss and always recover things more. So definitely very awkward, but we've sort of stabilized it a little bit. They get the energy down, which is definitely important for them. No insurance care, so yeah, that was sort of to be expected. And then I didn't want to put down the Galar Mine though, because they just instantly bump it. They do take out a Kirlia. You have to imagine that this Koffing is going down. Yeah, let's Void Return for the knockout. Going back to the Calyrex. By this point, I've realized that my opponent has just 1 Serena left. So if I Eldegoss for boss, Gust up the Gengar, that even if they Gust my Eldegoss, I just do Capture Retreat, and then I can just keep this Shadow Mist lock forever. So I've finally found a way that we are infinite, and I don't want to drop the Galar Mine, because if I do drop Galar Mine, then we can't retreating in the situation of a Serena, so we're only going to use that Galar Mine after we've seen the Serena from my opponent. So I do hit the double turbo, which is going to be important because I don't want to knock out this Gengar, so putting the double turbo on makes it so my Shadow Mist does no damage. So yeah, there's a Painful Spoons. I am just going to keep expanding that Pidgeot. I'll put the Hiding on it. That's actually sort of important because my opponent did have 1 Marnie left, and by putting the Pidgeot alongside the energy back into the deck, it means I'm always going to redraw 1 off a Marnie, so even if I try to Marnie me and then follow that up with Serena and hope I miss for a turn, I still would be able to guarantee draw an energy to get past a play like that from my opponent. They will take a knockout on the Kirlia with the Alakazam, but they will. So they are going to quick ball and check the deck, but then just pass. So I'm putting on the double turbo this turn because it reached the point where they could go double damage pump and then knock out themselves. So I had to put the energy on, start doing 0 damage, which we're trying to do. I thought like, oh crud, because they put Echoing Horn, so they can Echoing Horn down Snorlax, but then I remembered, oh yeah, both their bosses are down, so they can't Echoing Horn back. Snorlax and Gusset back up. That would be bad because I would have no way to move it. But they would still have to take that knockout eventually because I'm an infinite deck, and they sort of do with Eldegoss because they were playing Eldegoss of their own. But it's a little more scuffed than mine for sure. So they put the Parasol in the active spot. That doesn't block Shadow Mist because Shadow Mist is in effect on the hand, not on the Pokemon. So we're gonna put the hiding on and use that Vanishing Wings, Shadow Mist, and I can do this all day long. It's definitely in the ball's in my opponent's court to come up with something to respond. I'm going to just pump that Pidgeot back, Shadow Mist, and I can do this all day. So as long as my opponent doesn't slow play me, because that's always something you have to keep in the back of your mind when you're playing a control deck on the old Limos TCG. Yeah, my phone is taking a while doing nothing, so it's making me kind of nervous. They do play an Ultra Ball. Like once you see your opponent starting to make like pointless actions like this, taking a while doing so, you get pretty nervous because like, ah, no. So like not a whole ton you can do about it, because like in my experiences online, like sometimes you just call Judge and say like, hey, my opponent's still playing, and the Judge will be like, only 3-minute difference and clocks, it's a tie. It's like, come on. Like, I've been spending this last turn doing, like, I'm playing cards my opponent isn't, and then my opponent still has less time left than me. It's like, in what world does that make sense? So they did try that Marnie play that I mentioned, but we had the energies stocked up on top. So now I don't think there's any sort of way my opponent can win this. We're just going to keep Shadow Misting forever. They are out of Gust cards. They can't bring up my Eldegoss. So I think that is going to be GG. I don't... just 8 more turns of Shadow Misting. Oh, they can knock out their own Alakazam. Okay, that's kind of interesting. We'll take the Galar Mine off the prize. I knew where it was, so... Now they can drop their own Eldegoss and get boss again and kind of go for round 2, but we have that capture, so we're fine. Kind of... They go for an Avery. Why? Why did they do that? I know they needed to draw Echoing Horn, but now they don't have enough time to win. Even if that hammer doesn't hit heads, they still don't have enough time to win. Wow, that was a big misplay from my opponent, so we do get the win in the end. Alright, well, thank you guys for watching. That has been Weezing Orbeetle Control. I apologize if the audio is kind of weird. I had it originally all in one, the outro in the game, but all in one take, and then I had a little background noise, so I had to do a retake here. So the audio is kind of weird. I do apologize, but if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the description down below. I thank you guys so much for making it all the way through this video. I really want to thank all you guys who watch till the end of my videos, like, subscribe, share the videos. It really means a lot. I even had someone send me a DM on Twitch when I was chilling in the Twitch chat for OCIC, tell me how much they like my content. That really makes my day. I really appreciate that you guys like watching this kind of stuff, because I really enjoy making it. I love sharing my passion for the game with others. So just thank you guys for all like the kind words, the support. Like, we're closing in on 200, so really it makes me so happy. So thank you guys so much for the support, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And this has been all of Blitzel, and I'll catch you in the next one.